So I always get asked, what is a day like as a news reporter? I'm going to finally give it to you in this video. Of course, I'm Courtney Chandler. I am a news reporter for CBS 42 News. I'm a podcaster, YouTube host, and a media director for my church, Alabama First Jurisdiction. And today, we're specifically talking about what it is like in the day of a news reporter. So, normally the day starts off at 9 a.m. That is where we have the editorial meeting. So that meeting composed of all the reporters, meteorologists, producers, and of course the news director and the assistant news director. And it's usually for the people for that's going to be comprised of the four, the five, and the six. So these are all people who are going to make up that show. So as we go around the table, we all have to at least have three pitches as far as story ideas for the day, besides meteorologists. Meteorologists are responsible for giving the weather for the day, letting people know, letting us know what it's going to look like as we go throughout the rest of the day, and maybe possible of having weather as a lead. So we go around the table, give our pitches. Sometimes we have stuff that's going on during the day that we already have covered and they're going to be incorporated into the show. And sometimes we have stuff incorporated where the reporters will have to go to. So our pictures will just move on either to another day or we'll just save them for another time. But normally we have pitches. We go around the table and give our pitches on what we looked up, what we think would maybe a good story for our newscast, so on, so on, so on. After everybody gets their pitches, then we go down the road for the reporters. They're given their assignments. So this is usually decided on by the news director, the assistant news director, and the producers. They usually are looking at what is the story that is going to be impactful, timely, and just a good story to tell visually as well. That's also a very key thing. A lot of times we are do stories, but we want to make sure you have visual, and also you want to make sure you have people to talk to, because like I'm doing this video now, it's the holiday season, so a lot of people are not at work, so some stories might not be doable. And then also you have to keep in mind, if you do some stories, you might not have the B-roll to back it up. B-roll is this video to back it up. So we go around the table and we ask those questions on the stories that are being pitched. After so on, everybody gets their pitch from their story. Sometimes it might be the story that you pitch. Sometimes it might be a story someone else pitched around across the table. Or sometimes it might be some of the planner. As we have something happening on that day, they might send you to. You might end up going to that, and it's in the planner. So after the morning meeting, if your story is not assigned to you, or you after your story is assigned to you more of, you either go and make phone calls, or you make some emails to set everything up, or you go out the door and get your day started. A lot of times when you get a pitch and you are asked to do a story, you have to make phone calls to talk to find out if people are going to be available to talk. And it just depends really on the day. Sometimes people are available and sometimes they're not there. They're either not in the office or they're out. Or you'll have some cases of people are available, but they are able to only do it at a certain time. So let's say I have a story to do and my deadline to have everything done is by 2 o'clock. Well, sometimes your interviewer, your person that you need to talk to, may not be able to talk to you until 2 o'clock. So you have to either say, yes, you're going to be able to do this story, or no, this story is not going to work. So during that time, usually between after we get out the meeting, which usually runs about 15, 20 minutes, to about, I would say 10:30, 10:45, we're making phone calls, trying to set up our story. If the story does not be set up between 10:30, 10:45, we're either assigned to a new story or given something in the planner. A lot of times don't really necessarily want to have to be assigned another story during, because then you're scrambling. You're trying to figure out, okay, how I'm gonna get my day going. You want to be able to nail down the story that you either pitch or you've been assigned to that day, in order to just go on, get your day going, and keep it moving. So after, let's just say this is a good day. This is a good day, and you have everything set up, and you're out the door. So you have everything set up, and you're now going to your interview, shoot your interview, then you got to worry about B-roll. So that can comprise of something where you shot your interview at, or you could be going to another location. This is a crime scene. You might meet the person there. You might meet police there, or fire. You might meet the person there at the fire department or at the fire scene. It just depends. But you eventually will have to get some type of B-roll for your story. And sometimes it might be in the system, or someone may have already shot it the day before or earlier that day, depending on what the story is. So you might not have to go get any B-roll. I love stories where I shoot the interview, and the B-roll is already there, so I can go and easily get the B-roll. And that kills a lot of time, because you don't have to go and scramble and try to find areas to get B-roll. You can go and shoot it right then and there because it's already in that spot. So usually, let's say that takes getting the interview, setting up the interview, then doing the interview, then getting the B-roll. That takes about probably an hour to an hour and a half to do. But you also got to remember that if the person says that they're on a certain time, or they can only do it at a certain time, you got to factor it in. So a lot of times, if they say you got the meeting and you do your interview at 10, you do the meeting at 10:45, then you set everything up for 11, 12 o'clock, and or as they say, they can only do something at 1:30, 2 o'clock, then that kind of puts you in a bind. So after you got your interview, after you got your B-roll, then next you have to put everything together. The first thing I like to do is I like to write my story. I like to type it up, write it, how I'm going to tell the story with all my B-roll, all my interviews. I like to write it out. Write out, who's going to be talking, where am I going to be talking in the story, do all that. So usually that takes me about an hour, hour and a half. And then that also depends on what shows I'm going to be in. And I'm going to be in the 4, 5, and 6. Usually I find that out right at the morning meeting. I'll get an email saying, Courtney, you're going to be in the 4, 5, or 6. You're going to be in one show. You're going to be in 2 shows today. Or we're going to have you do a look live. Look live is basically like I front something out where I'm at, like just a short intro, and then an outro, a tag, and then I put it all together. But it's key that I know where I'm going to be at in the show, because that also helps me to know about timing. Who can I talk to? Who's going to be available? So it's very, very important of where I need to know where I'm going to be at in the shows. All right. So after I put everything, I write everything, write the story. Then next I have to send it off to the producers and our news director and assistant news director to get a final approval. I always want to get a final approval on your script before you track it, just to make sure they're okay with it. Is they might want to sometimes add something in, they might have a question about something, just to make sure they have a final eye on it before it goes to air. After that, you track, and then you piece everything together with the B-roll. This is the easy part of the job, piecing everything together, making the story. After I set up the interview, got in the B-roll, wrote the story, and tracked, now piecing it together is the easiest part. It's the easy part of the day. So I'm piecing it together, putting everything together for the shows, and then I'm sending it to our editors, or I'm sending it straight to the show. Usually our deadline for having content in for our show is 30 minutes before the show starts. So let's say I'm in the 4 o'clock show. That means I had to have all my content in by, it's 15 to 30 minutes. So that means I need to have all my content in by no later than 3:45, 3:30, 3:45. I need to have everything in. So that way it can have a thorough review, to just double check, and it can be in place. Then I have to be in my spot for the show 15 to 10 minutes before I'm coming up in the show. So as I'm going to be in the 4 o'clock show, and that means I need to be in place by 3:45 or 3:50. I need to be in my place. I need to be in front of the camera to be able to do mic checks, to make sure that I have my time and everything is straight, to make sure I am presentable. So then after that, if you're going live, then you go live. When it's your slot at 4 o'clock, then you do what you need to do. You say your intro, you do that, then you do your outro, you do that. A lot of times I'm in multiple shows, so that means I have to do multiple content. So what that requires is one show, let's say at 4 o'clock, they might want me to do a live both side. So that means I'm talking, then I have VO, then I have a sound, then I come back to me and I tease to something else. And it could honestly be like that for 4 or 5, and then 6 I have the package, which is the package is the full story. So that's a typical day of what it looks like. Then after all that is done, after I set up the interview, after I've gotten the B-roll, after I wrote my story, I've edited my package, I went live in shows or done a look live for multiple shows, then I have to send something to the web. I have to put a web story together, send it to them so they can post my story for the web. After I've done all that, I've done a full day's work. A lot of people only think that reporters, they're only on TV for just a short amount of time, but in reality we're working literally throughout the day, and what you see on TV is the final product, but the final product, there's a lot that goes into it, and then there's even one more even important thing that goes after it to make sure that is on the web, so it have content that will generate eyeballs even after it airs on TV. So it's a lot, it's a lot, it's a lot of work. It's not just looking good in front of the camera. It's not just speaking well. It's not just even being fun. It's a lot of work that goes into it. You have to make a lot of phone calls. You have to do sometimes a lot of editing, and you have to just do a lot of work in order to get the final product on air. But that's what a day in the life of a news reporter looks like. Of course, I'll be doing more videos like this to show you about just my job as a news reporter and some other fun stuff. But hey, there it is. That's the day in the life of a news reporter.